Wir haben hier am FONDS professionell Kongress Tim Stevenson und John Bennet, Fondsmanager, beide Fondsmanager bei Henderson Global Investors und echte Schwergewichte im Management europäischer Aktien. Tim, John, it's only about 1 year ago that Henderson announced the takeover of former Gartner Group. What are the most important aspects that you would mention in a conclusion of the merger?
From my perspective, they've left us alone to get on with what we do well. Fund managers, in my experience, can do an awful lot wrong if they're not focused on the one thing that they should be doing well, and that's managing money. So from my perspective, they have left us alone. You know, we're pretty experienced people. We know what we want to do, and that's manage money. All you're looking for is a platform. Give us the distribution, give us the compliance, and all the other stuff that goes around it, and take away the non-money management tasks from us and let us focus on producing alpha. And I have to say, a year on, it's gone very well from that perspective.
I mean, the main point I would make is that we've got a fantastic experience now in the European team. We've got one, in fact, we've also just recruited a second analyst as well on the European team. That's more than we've ever had before. We've got tremendous experience, diversity of views and opinions within the team, which has strengthened the position and the whole proposition for the Henderson European funds immensely over the last 12 months. So it's gone absolutely fantastically.
Have there been larger changes in the asset management team of Henderson Global Investors? How many fund managers did you lose in the whole process since the merger, and where have been important changes since then?
Well, I mean, speaking just from the European team's point of view, we haven't lost anybody, any fund managers. In fact, as Tim has just pointed out, only yesterday have we secured quite an experienced guy to join us, who's worked on both the sell side and the buy side, in both long only and long short, to come and strengthen this team. So I think, as Tim has already said, Henderson's big in European equities. European equities is very important for Henderson. They have to get it right. I think they've been getting it right. I just think they're going to get it even more right because we've strengthened the team. Nobody's been leaving the team.
And the only other, as far as I'm aware, and I concentrate on running European money, as far as I'm aware, Henderson have not lost a single fund manager as a result of this merger. And I think the reason for that is that actually the Gartner mentality and the characters that came in from Gartner are very like-minded people to the actual Henderson people, and we've fitted in superbly well. And it is remarkable, you know, whether it be the Latin American team with Chris Palmer, Chris Burville on the UK, the Simon Peters on the financials area. There's just tremendous interaction right the way across the board. So it has gone extremely well.
You both are very well regarded fund managers for European equities. I imagine that you are always in something like a competition, not only in-house, but also under supervision by clients and media outside the company. How do you deal with that?
Well, I mean, if I could address the in-house question, because I know what it's like to be sceptical, because I'm Scottish, and look, it's fine to describe us as, if not no longer youngsters, I think it's still fine to describe us as alpha males. But what I mean by that is we live or die by alpha. My job for the last 25 years, and it's not going to change for the next 25 years, is to produce alpha for clients. What it doesn't mean is that you're an alpha male trying to fight everybody and compete internally. There's only one arbiter of that, and it's your performance. Are you top decile, are you top quartile, or are you bottom quartile? Let the league tables decide, let the clients decide, and don't waste energy with internal politics. I think we're all a bit too sort of long in the tooth for that kind of thing. You might get involved in that sort of stuff when you're 25, but when you're the wrong side of 45, you know what really matters.
You know, the competition is not internally, the competition is outside. You know, this is a massive industry. There are loads of European funds out there. It just happens that the Henderson European funds are in fact right up there in the top area, all the funds together. And actually the competition isn't there. The competition is, the enthusiasm is there to see good ideas go across the board. See, all our colleagues have access to them. Whether they want to put them in the portfolio or not is up to them. It's not a sort of competition internally. And there's also absolutely no competition to sort of stand in front of a television or something like that either. I mean, if anything, it's a competition to run away from the thing, you know. So there's none of that going on, you know. It's just genuinely working very well together.
But perhaps should you explain a little bit more what differentiates you and your management style from each other?
I think probably the single biggest differentiator is, and our clients, again, going over the last 25 years, my own clients will have known that I will take quite big sector decisions. So if you've looked at our portfolios, our themes, the drivers of our alpha over long periods of time, it's being prepared to take very big, meaningful deviations from a benchmark index at a sector level. Tim, as he'll probably describe now, is much more interested in building portfolios from the bottom up. He's very much a stock-specific stock picker and has built a truly outstanding track record doing that. We've done it a different way. We've blended stock-specifics with meaningful sector bets, and I think that's probably the biggest differentiator.
The only thing I would add to that, to what John's already said, is that I really do like good quality, consistent, steady, reliable companies. And I do probably have a greater tolerance for a higher rating than some of my colleagues. I'm very much try to find a really good company and then leave the hard work to be done by that good company and then monitor the position very carefully. I'm totally driven by the stocks. I'm less concerned really with where the index is. I'm aware of what the risks are that I'm taking, but it's the companies that I'm investing in, and they tend to be more sort of growth biased. Yeah.
In the last time, it has not always been a pleasure to manage European equities. Nevertheless, the start into this year looks encouraging. Will 2012 be something like the year of decision? And what will be the crucial aspects that market participants will have to face?
It probably says something about your character. I've enjoyed this now 12-year-old bear market in equities. So I don't agree that it's been a miserable time to be investing in European equities. I think the last decade and more has been very interesting because everybody looks good in a bull market. A bear market is very important. Can you do it over a cycle, and can you do it in a bear market? So I've actually enjoyed the last 10 or 12 years, and what I would say is we are now 12 years into an equity bear market, and we are 12 years into a bond bull market. I think the single biggest surprise that's coming, and it might not be this year, it might not be this month, but it's coming, is the coming end of this equity bear market and the coming end of the bond bull market.
I think one of the most important things that's coming out of all the sort of European crisis and chaos at the moment, which is very important, is that there's actually a significant change in attitudes beginning to happen. And that is desperately needed to happen. You only have to go back to the 1980s when people were talking about eurosclerosis and inefficiencies and so on. And yet you can read probably in the press today, I haven't had a chance to look at it all, but you can read in the press on a regular basis at the moment, the Italians discussing changes in labour laws, the Spanish doing the same as well. It's coming to all our countries. The approach which we've had for the last 10, 20 years has to change, whether it be the approach towards debt for governments, and from that change will come a whole bunch of very interesting opportunities. The crucial ingredient that investors has to have on top of that is a bit of patience. And as John rightly says, you can't tell when it's all going to look easy and all the rest of it, but you must make a start and you must be patient. That's our key point, I think.
What is your outlook for 2012 and a bit further in general, and especially for the funds that you are managing?
Although it looks as though you're getting some sort of change in leadership or even direction in the market in January. We had something similar last January. I don't think January sets the tone nor sets the themes for 2012, and I think that's a very important message. I actually think 2012 is a bit more of the same in terms of the type of company you want to own. You've got to make a clear differentiation between stocks you want to own and stocks you might want to rent. You might want to rent a bank stock for a few weeks because it's a warrant. They're all warrants, bank stocks. But that's very different from saying I want to own Deutsche Post, or I want to own Inditex, or I want to own Reed Elsevier for a multi-year period. Stocks that will pay 5 and 6% dividends, you're paid to wait until this clears. Banks, I don't think you're paid to wait.
I think the other thing this year is that it's going to be a very difficult year. I think from a macroeconomic point of view, clearly Europe is going to be going through the grinder for a lot of this year. But I do think that the focus is beginning to change. The significance of Merkel and Sarkozy in the first meeting they had of probably, I don't know, 200 meetings they'll have this year or whatever. But the significance of them saying that now the focus has to switch to growth cannot be underestimated. They've moved away from this sort of important reality that we've got to face up to applying the original Maastricht criteria, the Growth Stability Pact, the Fiscal Compact, whatever it is now, and now saying we've now got to get growth going, because meeting those deficit targets is going to be a lot easier in an environment of where you can get growth. How you achieve that growth remains to be seen, what pressure there's going to be in terms of margins, we've got all those kind of pressures to come through, but the shift is beginning to move towards how we can actually get growth back in the system, because once we can get that going again, the European situation is not nearly as desperate as people are actually making out. The fundamental changes have to happen, they're beginning to happen, but it's going to take a long time and it's going to provide a lot of opportunities. So once again, you come back to the same thing about people being patient.
Thank you very much and good luck for you both.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks.